Yeah, promises to be interesting, I tell you. But let's go ahead and scan through some of the dailies here this morning. I was starting with New Telegraph, Nigerian farmers. It's about time, isn't it? We mainstream people. We pay ransom to bandits at gunpoint to access our farms. Not the kind of highlight you want when you talk about farmers, but these are some of the challenges that the people face, that farmers face, which by extension extends to, or turns out, or leads into food shortage. So it is a big lead on the front page here this morning. And speaking of which, hardship, which we've been looking at the cost of living these days, and probably again today, at the bottom strip, additional calls for restructuring, devolution of power. That's all eyes on leadership now and the quest to get it right. That's New Telegraph today.
And the Vanguard newspaper, of course, leading with the story that everyone has been talking about for days. Watched this one and was really a tear-jerker, really, watching Emir Sanusi, speak yesterday at this tribute to the late Herbert Wigwe. Teary Sanusi said, "I thought I would die before Wigwe." That's the lead story from the Vanguard today, page 8. We carried that whole story live, the entire thing live, and watching everyone pay tribute to a man who has touched so many lives and his tragic death, making everyone wonder why. But the lead story there from the Vanguard newspaper. Morning from page 8, by the way. Teary Sanusi, "I thought I would die before Wigwe." And we're seeing other stories, of course, from the Vanguard, but that is what we're leading with. Ayo, what do you have for us?
Well, I have the Guardian newspaper this morning, Kayla. The Guardian newspaper is leading with something that was spitted in one of our conversations earlier on in the week, or maybe even last week. Deaths, unaccountable security votes may hobble state's police plan. What does that mean? You find the details on page 6. We're talking about security votes. We had a guest here who told us that the state governors get something in the region of billions for security votes. And guess what? No one accounts for it because it goes straight to answer to some things. Whatever that means, maybe that is part of the conversation you'll find on the front page of The Guardian. The story is on page 6, by the way. That's the lead story of the Guardian newspaper this morning.
Wow. Well, go ahead and have a look at this Nigeria this morning. Buhari's 8 years of printing money causing hyperinflation. That's a direct quote. And then at the bottom strip there, you get to see Finance Minister. Printing of naira in trillions was just carried out without matching it with productivity. Wow. Just wow. That's this Nigeria, though.
And that's a conversation that I think we're going to be having later on. It's a very distressing story there, coming from the lips of the Finance Minister. All right, let's move on now to Daily Trust this morning. The United Nations confirms over 200 women and IDPs abducted in Borno. Families are asking the federal government and the National Assembly to rescue their loved ones, while terrorists burn IDP houses at Dikwa. This prolonged warfare. More on it from page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper.
Not something you want to wake up to, as we'd always say. The Nigerian Observer this morning is talking about some opportunities. Look at it. IMF, others endorse Agric Drive as AFDB commits $134 million to Nigeria. Please don't bring out your calculator and start checking, compared to the Naira dollar rate now. No, don't do that, please. But how is this going to work? Well, you find the details on the front page and the rest of it on page 2 of the Nigerian Observer this morning.
Next is Blueprint. NAS, National Assembly, to parley Tinubu as terrorists kill 50 in Benue. Well, that they debated yesterday, but look at the first on the right here. It says troops neutralize 5 IPOB gunmen in Imo, rescue Zamfara 15 kidnapped victims, 10 suspected killers of Islamic cleric murder nabbed. And so And then 3 days after looting Abuja warehouse, Tinubu orders distribution of grains to residents. How about that?
Well, let's take a look at the Daily Times right now. Not the main headline. This particular headline that we're seeing is one that a lot of people have been waiting for. But I'll start with the main headline, by the way. The Senate reps to confer with Tinubu as killings escalate in Benue, Katsina, and others. More on that from page 5 of the Daily Times. More death and destruction. But this headline here from the FCT, Wigwe to ban open grazing in the FCT. He says it's a delicate matter, and it's one that needs a lot of sensitivity in dealing with. But it has been said Wigwe is going to be banning open grazing in the FCT. We'll watch and see how that works. It has been an embarrassing situation, watching cows all over the place, walking into places that are secure national locations, and of course just constituting a nuisance on highways. But he says he's going to be doing something about that. More on that story from the Daily Times this morning.
Newspaper leads with this one: Tinubu to Nigerians. Time will define our tough decisions. That story is on page 4. You can hear some Nigerians say, we don't have time, Mr. President. But hey, check whether it's contained on page 4 of the Leadership newspaper this morning. Extols Awolowo's leadership qualities, signs executive orders on oil, gas reforms. Details on the inside pages of the Leadership newspaper this morning.
Daily Independent, speaking about rising insecurity, security architecture has failed despite enough appropriations, and this is ascribed to Senate. Plans meeting President Tinubu, so also highlighted. But at the bottom strip, additional mixed case for Nigeria's restructuring welfarist policies. That's what you see on the front page here today.
From the Nigeria Tribune, more from Mr. Adishina. Africa turns out for Adishina's Awolowo Leadership Prize. More on that on pages 7 and 8 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning.
Segue into my take this morning, Chamberlain and Kayla. I'm excited by what I see on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning, and that's where right under that graphic on the front page where it says Nigeria's survival depends on food, health, housing agenda across states, says additional. And I was having a conversation with another friend earlier today about some issues, and I say that every organization, as is every nation, like a body, if there is no partnership, if there is no collaboration, we will not be able to make the kind of progress that we want to make. We have to collaborate, we have to communicate, we have to commit. For instance, so when the president of the AFDB is saying our survival depends on food, on health, and on housing, then there has to be some collaboration. Food, health, housing. And these are the areas that we have tremendous gaps. So who is doing what with it? I'm glad that the three of them are in the residual list, is it a concurrent list or whatever. The states can intervene as well. So who is going to do anything about these things now? He's not even talking about security. He is saying, from what I hear, that if we talk about food, if we take care of food, take care of health, take care of housing, we have taken care of a number of other things. Now that is one amazing way to go. I don't know what you guys think, Chamberlain and Kayla.
Well, I think it's part of what we'll be looking at as we progress here today. So we'll let our guests come in a moment and then just take us through some of these things, because yesterday you saw several eminent personalities gather, and then you look into that place and you just ask yourself, wow, if only, we're filling the gaps. But we'll look at that in just a moment. So, and by the way, you can also talk to us about whatever you think you might have gotten up to hear. For instance, you send us a mail, you see the email across the ticker right there. We will be back in just a moment. Stay on with us.